Audio Jungle.
I am the Divine Prince, Ty Emmecca, Pan-African Spiritualist, Practitioner, Author, Advisor, Elagoon, Oloye, Hoodoo, Obeya, Bokur. I reside in this beautiful and legendary, historic Treme, New Orleans, Louisiana. So join me as I share food, music, culture, tradition, the rhythms, and the flavor of New Orleans voodoo. Respect the voodoo.
This ain't just broth, this is pot liquor. The liquid gold left after cooking down collards, kale, mustard greens. Our ancestors drank it like medicine, because it was. Full of iron, calcium, magnesium, vitamin A, B, C, D. It fed us when we had nothing but a pot and some greens. During slavery, during struggle, during survival, pot liquor kept us strong. Don't toss it, sip it, honor it. That's Black healing in a cup.
What if I told you Louisiana had its own version of the Haitian Revolution? Yeah, this rebellion was so dangerous, the government tried to erase it from history, but not today. If you believe hidden Black rebellions deserve the spotlight, follow now, because this one will blow your mind. In the 1795 in Pointe-Coupée Parish, just upriver from Baton Rouge, a group of enslaved Africans and Creoles of color plotted a massive uprising. Inspired by the Haitian Revolution, they planned to burn plantations, kill slave owners, and fight for freedom by any means necessary. But their plan was betrayed. Someone snitched. The response? Brutal. The authorities tortured dozens to extract confessions. 60 men were put on trial. 23 were hanged, their bodies mutilated and displayed along the Mississippi River as a gruesome warning. Others were whipped, branded, or sent to death camps in the Caribbean. And just like that, Louisiana buried this rebellion beneath fear and silence. But make no mistake, these were revolutionaries. They risked everything because they refused to die enslaved. History tried to erase them, but their blood still stains that riverbank. Drop a 1 if this is your first time hearing about Pointe-Coupée. Follow for more Black rebellions they don't want us to remember. And share this because our ancestors didn't just survive, they fought.
Hey beloveds, we often hear about formerly enslaved people finding their freedom through the Underground Railroad. But did you know that there are entire societies that not only escaped slavery, they fought off empire and used their knowledge of the land to survive and resist against all odds? Let's talk about the Maroons. Maroons were groups of formerly enslaved Africans who escaped plantations and formed free communities in remote regions, from the swamps of Louisiana all the way to the mountains of Jamaica. And in these remote regions, they were able to turn the land into both sanctuary and shield. But survival wasn't easy. In these mountains, swamps, and forests, they had to grow their own food, create self-sustaining villages, and develop guerrilla warfare tactics to fight off slave catchers and colonial armies. In Jamaica, the Maroons waged an 80-year war against the British and eventually earned their independence. In Brazil, the Colombo of Palmares, led by this man Zumbi, had a thriving society of more than 30,000 people before they eventually fell to the Portuguese. Their legacy wasn't just in battles. Maroons kept African culture, language, and customs alive. Today, their descendants from the Gullah Geechee in the US to the Maroons of Suriname and Jamaica still celebrate their survival and sovereignty. The Maroons today remind us that survival is about knowledge of our history, of the land, and our power. And the Maroons used that power to eventually live in harmony with the earth. Not bad.
Did you know New York City was once a slave capital? Most people think slavery was just in the South, but in the 1700s, New York had the second largest slave population after Charleston, South Carolina. Wall Street? It was literally built by enslaved Black people, and it had a slave market at the corner of Wall and Pearl Street. But here's what they don't teach in school. During the Harlem Renaissance, New York City became the Black capital of the world, with legends like Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, and Duke Ellington shaking the world with their words and music. And in 1964, after a black teen was killed by police in Harlem, New York City saw one of the first modern uprisings that sparked the national civil rights wave. From slavery to soul, from jazz to justice, Black New Yorkers have shaped this city in ways the textbooks still ignore. Don't let them erase the truth. This is Black New York. Respect the roots. Follow respect for my hard work about Black and ancient history.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Voodoo Hoodoo 101. Powered by, sponsored by, supported by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. We continue to invite you and implore you to join us in our third annual International New Orleans Voodoo Day in 2026, May 23rd and 24th, 2026. New Orleans International Voodoo Day promises an inspiring and immersive experience with a diverse lineup of engaging events. Highlights include an educational symposium featuring distinguished speakers from around the world, including a delegation of scholars and spiritual leaders from Benin and Haiti, as well as art exhibitions showcasing voodoo-inspired works by talented local and international artists. The event will also feature a children's program and an Afroecology exhibit exploring the sacred nature of plants in voodoo, their roles in spiritual practices, and their connection to our ancestors. The weekend will culminate in a ceremonial procession to 9 significant sites throughout the city, locations where the enslaved were brought ashore, held, auctioned, and where they later found community and built culture. This journey will begin at the transatlantic slave route to the New Orleans marker on the moonwalk at the river and will conclude a traditional voodoo ceremony in Congo Square. And additionally, visitors can participate in interactive workshops, community discussions such as this weeknight 9 p.m. Central Standard Time podcast, and other opportunities to connect and with practitioners and cultural experts. This multifaceted celebration offers something for everyone, creating a meaningful experience, a sacred space to honor the past, celebrate the present, and inspire the future. And again, you can visit us by way of website. It is now in the middle of the screen, but I'm also going to put up my little scrolling banner at the bottom of the screen. Join us for our third annual International New Orleans Voodoo Day. Visit us at www.vodouday.org. Again, that's voodooday.org. And we're certainly grateful for your active participation here weeknights at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. You, Elder Reggie, for taking the time out of your day, your schedule, from your family to be present nightly for this podcast, and to Sister Toni Val Martinez. Elder Reggie, your mic is open. Please come on in. Did you have?
Yeah, Divine Prince, I could hear you. Maybe due to the weather, but you're coming in and out. Divine Prince?
You're actually breaking up just a little bit. It could be this tropical. Well, they don't want to call it a storm, but we're dealing with this unique weather, and that may be causing. Toni,
Yeah.
are we clear with you?
Yeah.
I hear y'all breaking up.
Oh, yeah.
I hear Elder Reggie breaking up and you breaking up some also. How y'all hearing me?
You coming through loud and clear on my end. All is a blessing.
I hear you clear too. Okay.
But Elder Reggie is coming and going.
Yes, he is coming and going.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
While there's been a great deal of attention paid to the interaction between Caucasians and African Americans, as well as the relationships between African Americans and Native Americans, the elements of Hoodoo culture provide an instance of interaction between all of these races in early America. Beliefs and
Mm-hmm.
traditions of those African, Native, and European descent are often analogous and astonishingly similar in spite of relative lack of interaction between these people before colonization in the New World. These traditions interacted and developed upon the cohabitation of the peoples of the world in the American colonies and continue to the present day. The African traditions of herbal conjure and voodoo through persecution and the oppression of slavery, as well as racial interaction and exchange, adopt certain Native American and European elements to survive in the United States and develop into what is known today as hoodoo and conjure. Am I coming through clearly?
Yes, I hear you clearly.
For example, many voodooists in America consider the arrowheads of Native Americans to have magical powers and often use magic stones like quartz and obsidian to foresee the future, which had been a practice among Native Americans for thousands of years. Elements of European witchcraft combined with African tradition as well. Witches possess the powers of invisibility, mind control, and transmogrification, and may punish enemies by draining them spiritually and physically. Witches, however, are differentiated from conjurers in that conjurers were often themselves witch hunters, those who provide victims with protection from tormenting witches. Hoodoo and conjure incorporates magical practices with natural elements, tree bark, animal shells and bones, hair, blood, plants, and flowers, as well as herbs and even cooking spices. Hoodoo and conjure demonstrates its similarity with voodoo in that spiritual forces are seen as neutral and amoral. Thus, they may be used to hex as well as to heal. Root work, which emerged during the period of slavery, became a highly legitimate form of medicine. The root doctor heals the sick and injured with natural elements combined with the roots of different types of plants. The medicinal aspects of hoodoo and conjure cannot be dismissed as irrelevant to its place as a religious system, because in the traditional worldview of voodoo, from which hoodoo and conjure is a descendant, bodily illnesses is seen as a spiritual affliction and must be remedied as such. Occult illnesses is believed to be caused by hexing, tricking, or crossing of one person by another, and may manifest itself in bad luck, such as the loss of job or the end of a relationship. Occult illness is remedied by the removal of a hex or spell by the conjurer. Spiritual illness is seen as a combination of both tricking and physical affliction. It is treated through both verbal blessing by spiritual healers and medicinal remedies. People trained as both conjurers and herbalists usually acquire their skills through study of herbalism with a family member. However, in other instances, conjurers attributed their practices to the receiving of a call to heal, like preachers claim a call to ministry. And one cannot be called to a healing, or one called to a healing is seen as a particularly powerful conjurer, apart from those who learn their skills through study. The practice of hoodoo culture is one that is not exclusive to people of any particular background. Newbell Niles Puckett, for example, fashioned himself as a hoodoo practitioner in his research for his book, Folk Beliefs of the Southern Negro, describing his professional duties as those of diagnosis and relief of a tricking by identifying the charm used to harm the patient and destroying it. As voodoo holds the energy is amoral, so does hoodoo and conjure hold that energy is amoral. Conjure, it is said that the practitioner, who is the deciding factor in whether or not the folk magic is used in a detrimental or beneficial fashion, is essentially what sets hoodoo conjure apart from voodoo. Voodoo is that it does not require adherence to the philosophical, trans-empirical, and religious beliefs of the voodoo religion. In essence, hoodoo conjure in its modern American form may be inherited genealogically and learned through study and experience without initiation into the voodoo practice. This document, written and authored by Lane Megan, will serve as a means through which to describe the seemingly paradoxical notion that a religious system of practice can exist without a formal doctrine or scripture behind it. And I'm going to stop here and allow my co-host to come in into the conversation. But I also want to add the ongoing discussion in terms of, are we born with this? Do we just follow our intuition and just step right on into this? Do we operate under the guidance, the instruction, and the ancestral memory of our elders in our community and those who, came before? Or is this something that we can now, research and Google and Bing and gather, information from a book and then operate from without over reliance on ancestral connection and spirit or connection to spirit itself.
Divine Prince, Sister Toni, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I like to, if you don't mind, I like to start off and give a shot at answering that question you just raised, Divine Prince. being being that born in Africa, what I've seen firsthand, outside of ancestral relationship, they have these otherworld beings that follows, take a liking to certain individuals, and it opens up them to the realm of spirit. Say if one is going to be a herbalist, when real small, a particular energy will follow that child. Have that child going out to the bush, learning herbs, learning different trees, learning different animal patterns. And that child, as it grows with the other world being help, become proficient at being an herbalist. Same thing with divination. Let's say if you in Nigeria, Ile Ife, everyone in Ile Ife is not an Ifa or Babalawo, but certain people are going to have that propensity to throw the shells and be a Babalawo. Normally, they have an energy that tapping on their shoulders, leading them that way. Now, when we come back to our forefathers here in America with hoodoo, let's say the spirits didn't cross the Atlantic Ocean, but people have memory, and they are tapping into the memory and trying to pass it on to their progenitors as time passed by. So now
Okay.
here we in, but that just don't. Go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was about to tell you was coming in and out again.
Oh, okay. But right quick, I'll close it up with this. The people are saying in 2025 they have a right to practice hoodoo, voodoo, or whatever because it's in their DNA. They don't need initiation. They don't need a teacher. They don't need anything. And I just don't agree with that. Go ahead, Sister Toni.
I don't agree with it either. That's how we getting all kind of stuff opened up around here, and we wondering what's going on. All kind of evilness and stuff. That's why I never allowed a Ouija board, a Ouija, whatever y'all want to call it. I never allowed it in my house.
Mm-hmm.
I never allowed a lot of things in my house. I don't know if you could say I had a calling to it, but I certainly was put in a place to learn it and to be familiar with it because my parents aren't my birth parents. So I
Mm-hmm.
was removed from my birth parents and brought down here to New Orleans and placed with somebody who knew everything. And the killing part about it is I was doing this so naturally without even knowing it was hoodoo because that's how I was raised. And it wasn't until I was in my 20s and started reading up on, a lot of history and stuff. And that's when I said, oh man, my mama was doing voodoo hoodoo.
And you know that magical book says, where two or more gathered my name, I shall be in the midst of them. So when me and Toni met and got together, our whole spiritual world just kind of opened up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's all what we was talking
Mm-hmm.
about. But
Now,
I
see,
felt,
Divine Prince, what you're saying, that's a beautiful segue. Go ahead, Sister Toni.
yeah, that's a beautiful thing, like you saying. And here is two or more gathered together right now. And this
Yes.
is a beautiful thing. But I never, even when I found out what it was, I know some people who would have stopped doing it or whatever, but I felt comfortable doing it. It was natural to me to do it and to seek out other stuff and to read books, but I wouldn't act upon what I read in the books because I don't feel that I was properly trained to do such things. I stay in my lane.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know what I know. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to do something I don't know because it's in a book and I figure, oh, well, I do this much. I could do that much. Oh, no. No, 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 no. I
Mm-hmm.
heed warnings. I heed warnings like don't travel around the world with a haunted doll, around the country with a haunted doll. That would have never been me.
Mm.
Don't open that cabinet. All you got to do is tell me one time
Mm-hmm.
because I know people trap spirits
Yes.
like genies in a bottle. And if
Yeah.
somebody tell me don't ever open this or don't, I'm not the one.
I
Mm-hmm.
also think there's an authenticity that comes with our experience. I mean, when you've seen things, I mean, really seen things, and not always really positive things, you learn a different degree of respect, I believe. Your mama telling you that, not to touch that box, it's a gun in there, don't play with that. It's like a point of curiosity, for some. Whereas for others, like Tony Bow said, you ain't got to tell her but one time the stove was hot, or this is dangerous, or this could hurt you. But when you've seen
Yeah.
things
Yeah. I understand.
and heard things, yeah, you're less likely to take this as a play game. You're much more likely to take it seriously, and we're much more studious and mindful in terms of who we're giving this information and this knowledge to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And see, that's like with my kids. Just like I grew up doing exactly what my mama did for the same reasons that I knew my mama did them. My kids witnessed that, and now they're adults and they do it because that's what they saw me doing it. And they
Mm-hmm.
asked questions, and I explain it to them as they was coming up and everything, and they do it. I didn't say you got to do it or you should do it. I just found out my youngest daughter did as much as she did, because I know it got to be follow your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
If your spirit, okay, you seen your mama do this, but if your spirit is like, don't do it, don't do it then. But if your spirit is like comfortable with it and is telling you to do it, then do it. It is for you to be that healer or to be
Mm-hmm.
that seer
Mm-hmm.
or to be that seer.
Yeah,
You
Sister
know,
Toni. Yeah, I'd like
Uh,
to add to what you're saying if you don't mind. Can you hear me?
yeah, I hear you.
All right. So if if everyone is open to believing that we have a team, we have ancestors, and we have a spirit team that is working with us also. And so when you get that nudge, you get the razor bumps on your own, the raised bumps, telling you to turn right, and it's the right thing to do. That's part of your spirit team. That spirit team, some in the spirit team are otherworld beings, and some of them are people who live past lives, but they're still looking out, giving you the information to do things.
Yes, you're
If you're going to be a
absolutely
healer, if you're going to be a seer, if you're going to be a herbalist, mm-hmm,
you are absolutely correct. But you know how so many of us do not associate that because with our ancestors, with our spirit team looking out for us, some people call it a guardian angel or whatever you want to call it. But
mm-hmm,
I hate when people say, I literally hate when people say, something told me to go this way. Oh, something.
mm,
What something? I done been in a lot of those situations where spirit then told me, don't go that way. Go this way. Look down there. Go to the front door. Some people even call it gut feeling, and they not
mm-hmm.
addressing it as what it really is. It's their spirit team.
That's right.
And if they would
Mm-hmm,
address it more, the team would come to them more.
mm-hmm,
But they use that as a second thought. Oh, in my gut, I should have followed my first mind. That's another thing we do. I should have followed my first mind. Well, your first mind was that little voice that whispered in your ear.
mm-hmm,
That wasn't your first mind. That was your ancestor, your spirit, your guardian angel trying to keep you out of danger.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Because it's always when somebody get in trouble or something bad happen that they say, I should have used my first mind.
Mm-hmm. That is correct what you're saying. But when you put it in the context of voodoo, African spirituality, we are the people who are practicing it are somewhat like a professional because practitioner seeking answers. If they need an exorcism, if they need a spiritual bath, if they feel like they need protection or they need financial abundance. So they're having some type of crisis or problem in the general populace as it is. And so now they want to seek out a professional to help them with that. And that's when voodoo, the ATRs come into play. But if you feel life is going great, you don't have any problems, then you're not seeking out professional help. The problem is some of the professionals, especially in 2025, and what I see on Instagram, they just learned it 2 or 3 months, and now they want to offer services to people, and that is an ethical problem right there, Sister Toni.
Oh, yes, it is. Very much. Very much. Very much.
Hmm.
I done told a lot of people, this not no Betty Crocker cake you making. You can't read no recipe and learn this. And if you try to do it from a book, you're going to mess around and you're going to end up getting hurt.
Hmm.
because you don't know what you doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not gonna go and cut no man hair at the barber shop, and I know I'm not a barber. I mean, I done seen the barber cut hair,
Right.
but that's all.
Mm-hmm.
I have not been trained to be a barber. I have not been trained about hair grain and which
Mm-hmm.
way it grow and which way to cut
Mm-hmm.
and what that little circle mean and what that cowlick do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not gonna jump up and say, "Oh, I'll cut your hair," because I didn't watch the barber do it 50 times.
Mm-hmm.
No, but that's what so many people want to do with voodoo hoodoo.
Mm-hmm.
They think it's that easy. It's not easy. It actually is one of the hardest things that I've ever thought about trying to learn or experiencing because of the care and how careful
Mm-hmm.
you have to be. It's like you mixing it's like you mixing meth, some highly explosive stuff. And you got to be very
Mm-hmm.
careful or you going to blow yourself up and everything around you.
Well said, Sister
And
Toni.
they have
Yeah.
people that have done it. They have
Mm-hmm.
people that have done it. And unless you know them personally and what they was into, you would know that's why what happened to them happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
People just be like, "Oh, Paul, Jenny Mae, how that happened?" Yeah, I know Jenny Mae was doing in her kitchen. I know how that happened. But the outside world don't know how that happened. You have to be around a person to know it, and you done seen it. I done seen it enough times. I really
Mm-hmm.
have seen it enough times with friends. And I would go, that you won't come join us, sir? Hell no, I'm going in my house. Sit on my porch. Y'all can be up in the living room doing what y'all want over there, but don't include me in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna join you, and I know you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-uh. But people are doing it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why I think we got so much mass confusion and dumb stuff going on right now. Because people are, as these youngsters saying, doing too much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I agree with what you're saying there, but if we look back, let's say the Civil War is over, we're looking at 1865. African American slaves or whatever are coming off a plantation. They come into urban cities. They did some type of herbalism or some type of things when they was on the plantation. Now you're in an urban city. How do you get to do that with an organization? How you get to do it with some type of group collective unit? And right there is where it started splintering from the voodoo until the hoodoo. Now, hoodoo stands alone as just an individual who could practice, throw hexes, throw make charms, do whatever they want, but they don't have to belong to a group or organization or have to go through no type of initiation. And so I find hoodoo sometimes to be really, really tricky. You got to watch it because it's freestyling.
Yes, you're right.
Hmm.
And if you trying to do something and your spirit tell you, nah, leave that alone. Don't do that. Because I've had that happen to me on a lot of occasions.
Mm.
Don't go that way. No, do it like this. I'm looking at
Hmm.
one thing and spirit say, no, look, it's over there. That's what you're
Mm.
looking for. I done been in
Mm.
that situation too many times
Mm.
to
Mm.
know, leave it alone. But when people is is very volatile if you not doing it, and if you not doing it with the right intent. What I
Hmm.
found is people want to hurt people
Mm.
more. I mean, I know more people want to hurt people using hoodoo and voodoo.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started learning this, that tripped me out because, like I said, it never was discussed at what it was in my house. But when I learned what it was, I still hadn't got to meet people who want to hurt people. But then when I got in my 30s, I started meeting, for some reason, more and more people, and they want to hurt people, or somebody got a hex on them, or they think somebody then put something on them. And,
Mm-hmm. Sister,
you can't be doing that.
no, you
No.
raised a real good ethical problem because even myself, I have been approached with X amount of dollars to do harm, and I'm just not going to do that. That's not even in my personality to do that. But to have people out there that would seek us out to do harms to others, you're
Oh
so
yeah,
right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
even to
And
babies, even to young children. Go ahead, Joshua. Greetings and salutations.
Good day,
Mm-hmm.
everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. I came in on the back end of this, but
You
yeah,
head?
there's a lot of people. I mean, that happens in everything. I mean, everything we do as human beings, our intention, and especially us who are, um, how can I say this? The people that you see within our leadership and our elders and our communities and spirituality. I think most of them are, especially in voodoo, from what I've seen, they have been very well versed, very well intentioned in the practice and in doing the right thing. But there are people just like, in any religion and any belief system that, that's the reason for a lot of wars throughout. I mean, to this day, we see what's happening over there in Israel and Gaza. Like
Mm-hmm.
it, it is not, it's not removed from its its use of by people that don't have good intentions. So you got to be careful. And from my own personal journey, the only thing I can say is that the more you seek good intentions, the more you receive from the spirit.
Mm. Well said. Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of people, they hear spirit and they think of something after death, or when you go into heaven and your spirit that you out of your body. They don't connect spirit and soul together. And they got people out there that are vampires on the real.
Mm-hmm.
They're not biting your neck and draining your blood. Well, I believe some of them are out there doing that. But the ones I come across mostly is the spiritual vampires. They will drain all your energy and make you so tired just from having a conversation with them. I had one sister I knew every time I talked to her on the phone. When I hung up that conversation, I had to go to the restroom. It never failed. I started watching for it. And that's when I realized that she was a spiritual vampire and she was draining me. Because when you die, they say you release all your bodily functions. And when I was getting off the phone with her, I had to go release bodily functions. She was draining me
Mm-hmm.
just by talking to me. Then you got the ones that they say don't let everybody touch you. Don't shake everybody's hand. Don't be
Mm-hmm.
running up hugging everybody with them long embraces. And
Mm-hmm.
we in the South is
Mm-hmm.
famous for doing that.
That part.
We is famous for hugging each other. But before I hug you, you best believe it's my first time meeting you, somebody introducing, I'm already reading you
Mm-hmm.
to the point where I say, oh, how you doing? And step 2 steps backwards. They have a
Mm-hmm.
bar that my friends go to all the time. They love this little bar across from the racetrack. I hate that place. It got a bad, bad vibe to me. And they want to get mad because I'm not going out there with them to this bar. I say, y'all can get mad all y'all want. I don't like it. My spirit don't like it. And I'm not going. And that's our friend, Divine Prince. You know her, who I'm talking about.
Oh God, don't bring me into this.
I know, but you know who I'm talking about. I'm not going where my spirit, your spirit warned you good.
Yeah.
But as we come to a close tonight, I want to turn it over to Elder Reggie to close us out.
Thanks,
Elder
Sister Toni.
Reggie, you there?
Before I close out, yeah, can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me? I have weather. There's some weather problems. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you right now.
Oh, okay. Yes. Before we close out, there's a S Marie. I just want to answer a question she put in the chat room. She said, "Tell the truth. I tried to tell them this practice takes years to learn, and you need a teacher." She's 100% correct with that.
Yep.
Because it's nothing wrong with having a teacher or having a godparent. As they say, as above, so below. We know a lot of the energy from, if we call it God, small g, big G, it's coming from above, and that's your teacher. And so if you have godparents, then they become your teachers and you learn from them. Then eventually you open up your house or your Elay, something of that nature. But it don't hurt to get under someone's tutelage to learn some of the practice. And so S. Marie is 100% right with that. With that, I say, as we always say, lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. Remember, voodoo was established just like Obia as a form of resistance to oppression. And oppression comes in many forms, in many pathways. With that, we continue to fight oppression. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. Good night, Divine Prince. Good night, Brother Joshua, Sister Toni, and the collective audience in the chat room. We love you all. Ashe, Ashe, Asheo.
This ain't no fairy tale, baby. That root work in your veins, that's power passed down. Speak to your spirit span. They've been waiting on you.